Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Mama Magma Yoga. My name is Tamu, and today we have a different kind of flow for you. It's more like a workshop. We're going to dive into some alignment in some of our asanas. Now, alignment has a wide net in terms of how it applies to people because many people deal with injuries, with chronic pain, with limited range of motion. It has a basic core of what we were trying to do is utilize our anatomical structure, our skeletal structure, to make the most of the asana, whether it is building strength, whether it is creating flow, whether we are stretching. We're just creating overall body awareness so that you can be more safe, have more fun, and see more progress in your practice. This also carries into your everyday life and into the emotional and subtle body. When we bring ourselves into alignment, we create a better foundation for ourselves. We are able to start at the bottom and work our way up. We can also become aware of how our inner structures fit together. So looking at our feelings, our inner knowing, and our intentions, and bringing them all into alignment, because sometimes they can be scattered all over the place. We can feel something over here, want something over here, but know something completely different over here. And then our intentions are over here, but we need to learn how to bring them all into alignment. So I'm hoping that by the end of this practice, you have a little bit more awareness, not only anatomically and in terms of your asanas, but that you can carry that information into your everyday life and just be more of who you are in a greater, holistic, supported, grounded manner. So today I'm going to invite you, if you are able, to bring along or to practice in front of a mirror. Now, I don't usually encourage this because yoga is really about finding the asana in yourself, finding what feels good within you and your body and paying more attention to that. But today I'm going to invite you, if you can, to practice in front of a mirror so that you can take a little look over and see, oh yeah, okay, what's going on there? Are my shoulders rounded forward? Am I sitting up nice and tall? Is my spine nice and long? And just play around with that. If you can, if you can't, please don't worry about it. If you have something like a strap, you might find that really supportive in your practice as well. So let's get started. We're going to treat this like a workshop. We're going to slow things right down. There's not going to be as many asanas. I invite you to play with it, to pause when you need to play with the pose, sit in front of the mirror and look at yourself. And yeah, let's hop on the mat and let's learn how to bring the whole self, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, into alignment. I'll meet you there. All right, so we're here on our mat. We're gonna dive into this practice. And I'm gonna show you right away, I'm using a folded up blanket underneath my sits bones. You'll often see me doing this in my classes and here on YouTube. And why do I do so? Because it helps me to relax my knees down and away in Sukhasana. It helps me to lengthen my spine and sit up nice and tall, and roll my shoulders back and just find length so that I am supported from the crown of my head all the way to my sits bones. And especially for those people that when they come into this position, they find that they round back and their knees are lifted and it's very hard for them to be in this position and they need to bring their hands behind them, or they're struggling and they're just trying to stay here. And often this simple little thing of bringing a block or a blanket or a brick or a bolster underneath your sits bones is one of the biggest, most ignored, sort of passed over suggestions in my classes. People think that it's not really going to do them any good, or I'm not really sure what they're thinking, but I notice that when I suggest that, even those people that are in that position and really trying to hold on, instead of taking the suggestion of using the blanket or the block or whatever support there is, to help them sit up tall, they end up sitting with their legs out in front of them. Now that's not really going to help them if they don't have anything underneath them. They're still going to be in this position. Now, a lot of this is about core strength and upper back strength as well, but doing the simple little thing of bringing in some kind of support so that you can come into Sukhasana, which is supposed to be easy pose, can help you to build that strength, take some strain off the core, take some strain off of the upper back, and allow you to find that length and roll onto your sits bones. So we want to feel this forward tilt of our pelvis, and we don't want to be rocked back on our tailbone. We want to see if we can rise on up into a tall seated position, rolling onto our sits bones, because then we actually are finding the proper weight distribution from the head down through the spine into the bowl of the pelvis. The pelvis isn't rocked back and we're not putting pressure on the bottom of the spine and thus stopping flow of energy, blood, nerve interaction, lymph flow, all of that kind of stuff. If we're able to come up onto our sits bones, then there's more ability for all of that to flow. So all of that being said, if you need to pause the video and go and grab yourself a folded up blanket like mine or any other support that you may have in your space, go ahead and do so. Find your way to maybe trying to sit in Sukhasana if you don't normally, so that you can start to open through your hips more, strengthen your core in a relatively passive way, strengthen the upper and the mid back, and see if you can find that length, getting more comfortable in this easy pose or Sukhasana. So go ahead and do that if you need to. Otherwise, we are going to find our way into this seat and just see what we can do here. So I'm going to turn while I'm on my little support here, my little blanket, so that you can see me. And maybe you can make sure that you're sitting beside your mirror so that as I'm talking, you can look and see what's going on and tell the difference. So when you get into this pose, it's funny looking at myself in my mirror here. So when you get into this pose and you look at yourself, where are you? Is the lower back pushing out? Are your shoulders rounding forward? Are you rolling onto your tailbone? Can you see what happens with or without that support if you draw the chest up, the shoulders back, and see if you can push down with your knees and your thighs. So take a little moment here, maybe rock back onto your tailbone, let yourself completely relax. You're chilling around a fire, singing campfire songs. Awesome. But then see what happens maybe if you grab onto your knees and pull on them so that you can lift the chest. And roll those shoulders back. Imagine you've got a marionette string at the top of your crown, pulling you up out of the earth. This is going to make you engage your core a little bit, hug your belly button towards your spine, and just see. Now you might get here and go, wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. This is why I don't normally sit like this. That's okay. Give yourself a chance to practice. You are, in a passive kind of way, strengthening all of those muscles. So even just being here is a strengthening practice, right? And then we'll allow ourselves to breathe. Imagine those shoulders stacked over those hips, that spine being like a straight Sitka spruce tree all the way up from the tailbone up to the neck and then up through the crown of the head. Let's just take a couple of breaths here to just feel how it feels to try to sit up nice and tall in our easy pose. Nice deep breath in. And a long breath out. One more deep breath in. And a long breath out. Nicely done. I'm just going to end this part by saying that when I first started sitting in this position, I found it really hard. When I started practicing yoga and had to come into Sukhasana more, I found it extremely difficult, especially in my upper and mid back between my shoulder blades. I found it really tiring. It would start to ache. And oh my goodness, it was a lot. So one thing that I did was practice sitting in easy pose on the couch with my back supported. Just getting used to my thighs being open this way, supporting my lower back, getting used to sitting up nice and tall. So there's a suggestion. Practice where you can. Make yoga part of your everyday. You can give it a try if you would like to. We're going to see if we can come into a side bend now. So we're going to bring our fingertips out beside us. We're going to try to keep that nice tall spine and those shoulders rolled back. This is important here. We're hugging navel towards the spine. We've got all this structure, softening here, lengthening here, grounding down the back body, seeing if we can feel our sits bones underneath us. We'll plant our left palm on the floor. On an inhale, our right fingertips rise up towards the sky. On an exhale, we're going to lean to the left, and I'm going to show you what usually happens in class. People go like this. Now, that's not a fault. I'm not putting people down by saying that. I'm just showing you that this is probably going to be your tendency. The right shoulder is going to want to come forward, and you're going to want to bow your forehead down towards the earth. Now you're still getting a stretch through the side body. You're still probably feeling that in your hip a little bit, but you're not getting the most out of this pose by doing so. You're collapsing a little bit. So I'm going to invite you to see what happens when you pull the right shoulder back and imagine stacking your right shoulder over your left. We'll keep those right fingertips up towards the sky for a moment so that you can see that stacking between the hand, the right shoulder, and the left shoulder. What happens here now is we get more of an opening through the right rib cage, down through the right hip, and we're expanding through the chest. So we're opening our lungs and our rib cage and the whole cavity of the thorax here so that our breath can move better, so that we have got stacking of bones. So if I came down onto my elbow here, you can see that stacking between the hand and the shoulders, all the way down to the elbow. Trying to keep my right thigh relaxed down and away as best as I can. So we're getting a nice contraction on the left side of the body and a beautiful deep opening on the right side of the body. Here we can allow the head to relax down, but we might want to keep that neck nice and long so that our spine has nice length through the back of the neck and down between the shoulder blades. Go ahead and take a look in the mirror if you'd like and play with bringing the right shoulder forward and then pulling it back, maybe taking your gaze up towards the sky, and just notice the difference. Notice the difference in your own body. What's happening in the left rib cage, what's happening in your hip, what's happening in your neck and your shoulders. One more breath here. You've got it. Nice and gentle, engage your core. Start to rise back up and find your way back through center. Shake that right arm off if you need to, toss your hair, find your way back through center, and let's just even it out by taking it to the other side, Right hand to the floor, left fingertips rise. It might help you if you point your thumb up towards the ceiling and imagine painting a rainbow all the way up. So we're not going forward with the hand. We're seeing if we can paint a rainbow right up over the crown of the head, leaning into that right hand. Now remember, you can keep that left hand extended up towards the sky, or you can reach it past your crown. You're just seeing if you can keep that left shoulder back, maybe taking your gaze up towards the sky so that you're kind of forced to pull that left shoulder back. If you've got enough openness in your body, maybe you come down to your right elbow. I don't seem to have that ability today. My body's saying, you're too tight, it's not gonna happen. But I'm still trying to find that stacking between the left shoulder and the right shoulder, all the way down towards my elbow and keeping that left hand back. Keeping nice length in my neck. I can also soften the head and let it relax down. It will help to deepen the stretch. Let's take one more breath here. As we're ready, we slowly start to rise back up and find our way back through center. As with the other side, if you need to, roll shoulders, shake things out, find your groove, allow that to happen. I'm going to turn on my mat now so that you can see me better, and we're going to send our legs out long in front of us. This is where bringing that strap into the picture might be handy, so I'm going to reach for mine. And once again, once we send our legs out long in front of us, I'm going to keep my blanket underneath my sits bones, and I'm going to walk my sits bones right to the edge of the blanket and then allow them to come off the blanket a little bit so that my sits bones are forced to rock forward a little bit. Did you see how that happened with my spine? So when I'm up here, I'm more on my groin and down into the perineum, and I might have more of a tendency to be here, rounding through the back, my shoulders rounded forward. So if I was just chilling, this would be my posture, right? But in Dandasana, we want to really rock forward onto those sits bones. And it's another hard one to do, as we were discussing in the beginning. So I'm really going to walk my sits bones, those two bony protrusions in your butt cheeks, to the edge or off the edge of my support. If you're not using support, you're wanting to roll forward until you can find that connection and come off of your tailbone. Once again, you're going to need to engage your core in order to find that upward current of energy in the front body and that downward current of energy in the back body. So shoulders are relaxed down and away. Legs become really engaged here. They're really part of this pose. So when we relax the legs, the rest of it all seems to relax and we come back into not having the greatest posture. So we're going to see if we can engage those legs, engage our quads, engage our knees, push our knees down towards the earth. Now, usually in Dandasana, we bring our fingertips beside us. Now, oftentimes when I say that in class, I see this happen because people don't want to keep their core engaged, or maybe they can't, or maybe it's really hard that day. That's also what's going on there too. But I'm going to invite you to see what happens when you bring your fingertips gently to the floor beside you. So there's almost no weight on your hands. Now I know your core is getting tired. Your upper back is probably saying, can we stop doing this now? This is a lot. But see if you can stay engaged with it. So you might be able to bring your palms to the earth, but that might give you the incentive to just press into your palms and find your length by pressing into your arms. We're seeing if we can find that length through the core muscles and the upper back, right? Seeing if we can sit up nice and tall, legs are engaged. Now, once again, shoulders are stacked over hips, crown is reaching towards the sky, and we're allowing our body to have more flow of fluids, of energetic signals, of the energetic flow in our body through this kind of structure. We're giving the body the signals that it can move things around, that it has the space and capacity to move things around with more ease. So take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Just seeing if you can be here. Now, if you're really finding this to be a struggle, bring the strap into the picture. Go ahead and hook your strap on the toe mounds of your feet. And then you're gonna bring either end of the strap into either hand, and you're gonna reach your palms forward, but not so much that you're pulling yourself forward. We're not there yet. We're not trying to find that forward bend. And your quads and your glutes, your hamstrings and your glutes might be really tight, and even being in this position, you might feel a stretch. But we're gonna see if we can grab onto those straps. Elbows are straight, so we're not back here. We're seeing if we can reach out until elbows are straight. We can lift our chest, roll our shoulders back, and pull on our feet. So legs are still engaged here. This might help you to find the structure better and find a little bit more ease. So Dandasana here, we're still toning the abs and the core, the upper back body. We're really finding that structure, and we're seeing if we can breathe here. One more breath. Nice. Now we're going to progress this into a forward fold. Now, a lot of us are really tight in those hammies and those glutes, as I was saying, and so a forward fold gets really hard. But oftentimes, this is what I see. This is how a forward fold happens. And that's great. Sometimes we just need to relax here, even lean into our hands and find it here. But for me, there is no hamstring stretch happening here. All I feel is my lower back pushing out behind me. There's no support happening. I'm not finding the stretch. There's no opening in my hips. So let's see what happens when we use our strap, finding that length in our arms again, reaching out as far as we can. And then we're gonna sit up nice and tall and notice where your hips are. They're not pushing back, so there's not a protrusion happening in your lower back. The lower back is trying to push forward and up, right? We're seeing if we can push it forward and sit up nice and tall. You're gonna try to maintain that long spine with your shoulders rolled back, not allowing them to come forward, shoulders rolled back. As maybe you walk your hands, so you can take the straps into both straps together into your hands so that you can find this better. And we're gonna see if we can walk them forward a little bit and allow ourselves to lean forward. So you're imagining your chest reaching forward and up, as opposed to chin coming to chest, shoulders rounding forward, and chest reaching towards your knees, right? Forward and up. And we're just gonna see here. So now all of a sudden I'm leaning forward a little bit. Look at my lower back. See, it's relatively flat still. I need to change the position of my strap. Beautiful. So take a look at yourself in the mirror and notice what happens when you round and when you sit up nice and tall. Notice the difference of the stretch in your hamstrings. You've got this. We're seeing if we can breathe here. So this forward fold, even to this point, is doing more to stretch your glutes and your hamstrings than this is, right? So while I'm talking, please feel free to come in and out of the pose and experiment, because we're treating this more like a workshop than we are as a regular flow. So allow yourself to come in and out and take a rest when you need to. But just take a moment to notice what happens there and what happens in your hamstrings and your glutes. And then you can slowly start to bring it forward more. Seeing if you can bring the chest forward towards your toes and up. And breathe here. So once you start to allow that opening and you get more comfortable with that anatomical structure, then you'll start to find, oh, I don't really need the strap anymore because I can keep my lower back flat, my chest lifted and my shoulders rolled back in order to reach towards my toes and find the forward fold here. So the goal is to try to keep that lower back relatively flat,
even when we're coming here into our forward fold. So that there's lots of length in our belly and our chest is still open and we're really actually getting that stretch in the hamstrings. So wherever you are, give yourself one more breath. Nice. Let's let it unravel. Come back through center. Oh, be kind to that lower back. Set your strap to the side. And we are going to come forward onto all fours, finding our tabletop position. If you want to pad your knees with your blanket, that's great. Absolutely kind practice to do for yourself. I've doubled up on my yoga mat, so I'm going to move mine out of the way. And I'm going to make my way to my tabletop position. So we're going to play around here a little bit. Take a break when you need to. If you need to roll your wrists out, absolutely gorgeous. You can also come onto your fists and take a break with those wrists, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. So a lot of us are quite weak in the wrists, and it can be quite challenging to hold this or downward dog for very long. And what's happening there is that we're pushing into the seat of our palm, the lower part of our palm here. And so our fingers are not engaged. There's no engagement of the muscles of the forearm, of the inside of the forearm. And so our wrists are, all of those bones there are having to take all of the weight. Not to mention the fact that a lot of us tend to dump here. So we're dumping between our shoulder blades, our belly is relaxed, the tailbone is pushing up towards the sky, which can feel really good. And this is basically where we are in our cow pose when we're doing cat-cow. But I'm going to give you a couple pointers here. First of all, you're going to take a look at the distance between your wrist and your knee. Are you here? Take a look at yourself in the mirror. When you look at yourself in the mirror, I'm just going to shift so that I can see myself. There's not the same amount of distance between, when I do that, when I bring my knees too close to my wrists, there's not the same amount of distance between my wrist and my knee as there is between my armpit and my hip crease. Back the truck up. See if you can create, by looking in the mirror, the same distance between your wrist and your knee as there is between your armpit crease and your hip crease. Number one. Number two, to take that weight out of our wrists, we're going to see if we can press down into our knuckles and into the meaty part of our palm. So between our forefinger and our thumb, we want to press this part down into the earth, and we want to claw through our fingertips. That's going to engage all these muscles here and all these muscles here. It's going to feel difficult at first. It's going to feel like, what? Because you're used to putting all of that weight here on your palm and all of the bones in your wrist having to take the weight. But then that creates fatigue and possibly even pain in the wrist. So once you've created that space between your knees and your wrist, you're going to see if you can press down into the knuckle of that forefinger and between the forefinger and the thumb, and then claw through your fingertips so that maybe even the tips of your fingers go white because you've created that pressure between them and the earth. And then just feel what happens. All of a sudden, especially right here in your wrist, is going to be telling you, oh, hello, I feel sensation. Absolutely you do. But you've also taken pressure out of those wrists, so there's not as much fatigue. So now relax your hands and notice where the weight goes. Nice. Now claw down through those fingertips again and try to take the weight into the fingertips and notice where the weight goes. It's not in your wrist anymore, is it? Right? So we're finding our way there. And then we're going to push the earth away from us. We're finding a stacking between the wrist elbow and shoulder. So we want to make sure that we've got our stacking there, and we're pushing the earth away from us. So there's a doming in the upper back body. We're not sagging and waiting. We're engaging the upper back. We're engaging the core, hugging the belly button to the spine. We're actively pushing the earth away from us. So ground down through the tops of your feet as well, and make this a really engaged pose. Woo! Feel all of that activation. Also notice the strength that you're creating in yourself. By doing this simple little thing in your practices, you will notice much more endurance in your tabletop, your cat-cow, and in your downward facing dog, and in your planks, right? So when you're coming into your planks, when you're engaging here, instead of just waiting, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, push the earth away, lift it up, right? Finding more strength there and encouraging the body to be more structurally sound. Awesome. Let's take some cat-cows, seeing if you can keep those fingertips engaged to the earth. As you're ready, inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts. Exhale, round through the tailbone, curl up through the spine. Let the head dangle down, keep the arms straight. Twice more. Inhale, belly drops. Let the belly relax, keep the arms engaged. Exhale, round through and push it away. Whew, yummy. Last one. Inhale, belly drops. Gaze lifts, shoulders roll back. Exhale, round it through, push the earth away. Let the back of the neck become loose. Nicely done. Let that soften. You've got it. And let's see if we can step up into a low lunge. All right. We'll step the right foot up between the palms and allow ourselves to arrive here. Nice. I'm not using blocks today because I know that you probably don't have a block at home. If you do have blocks, go ahead and bring them into the picture. They can help you lift the earth up to you. They're a tool, they're not a cheat in any way, shape, or form. So finding that if you need to. As you're doing so, we're going to start chatting about this pose. So in a lot of my classes, this is what I see. People are here. It's not really doing anything for you, right? There's no stretch happening in the left hip crease right now. There's no stretch happening in the right hamstring. We're not engaging the upper back body. We've got a stacking through the bones here. Great, that's awesome. But oftentimes also what I see, either this or people are here. So what's happening with my front leg? There's no stacking of the bones between the knee and the ankle. My ankle is way back towards my thigh. It's giving me a calf stretch, but it's straining my ankle and it's straining my knee. There's no anatomical benefit here. So what we're going to try to do is wiggle that front foot forward. Now, when I say that, let's not go here, because that's also not helping us. Now all of a sudden we're dumping weight into our hips and we're overstraining our hamstring. So you're going to look in the mirror and see if you can find that nice stacking of your front knee over your front ankle. If your hips are still back when you're doing that and you're here, you need to deepen a little bit, right? So we're going to see if we can walk forward. Allow the hips to come forward and down until you start to feel a stretch in the left hip crease. But you've also got a stacking between the front knee and the front ankle. Nice. I'm going to curl my back toes under to help support my knee because it's feeling it in this pose, and it usually does. So if you're feeling the same thing, by all means do so. All right. Now what we want to do is push the earth away from us, lift our chest, and roll our shoulders back. This is helping our hips rock forward and down, allowing for a stretch in that hip crease, toning the muscles of the upper and mid back, lengthening through our spine, creating a nice flow of energy from the crown of the head all the way down to our hips, our pelvis, opening our chest, opening our lungs, toning and opening the belly. So there's a lot going on here. Allow yourself to breathe. Try not to dump all of your weight into your hands. Engage your right thigh, your right quad a little bit, and even your hamstring. So we're not dumping down. We're seeing if we can find grace and structure here as we allow for the stretch. One more breath. Nice. Push your hips back, let your hands come to the earth, step right foot back, find your tabletop position. Maybe rock your hips side to side if you need to, or make some big circles. Practice pressing down to your knuckles. See if you can take some weight out of the wrists. Whenever you get here, see if you can create that action, pushing down into the fingers. And then we'll just even things out by bringing the left foot forward and seeing what we can do on that side. So go through your checklist now. Look into your mirror. Are your hips being able to come forward and down? Are you feeling a stretch in the right hip crease? Are you stacking between the front knee and the front ankle? Are you here or are you here? See if you can create that stacking, but also allow those hips to come forward and down. Then, once you've found it to the best of your ability, we're lifting the chest and rolling the shoulders back. Now remember with all of this, that if you're really tight in certain areas, if you have injuries that you are dealing with, that you might not be able to might not be able to bring those hips as forward and down as mine are. Find where you feel the stretch and then make sure you're stacking anatomically, lifting the chest and rolling the shoulders back, hugging navel to spine, right? It'll be different. And if you've got kyphosis in your shoulders and you're doing your best to lift and roll back, great, awesome. You're toning all of those muscles and creating more length in that area. It might just not look exactly like mine, but you're still finding that alignment. All right, let's take one more breath here. We've got it. Push back with your hips, ground down through your palms, step your left foot back, find your tabletop position. Let's take a little break before we move on. Big toes to touch, knees open nice and wide. Send the tailbone back and let yourself surrender. I'm going to invite you to come onto your elbows and roll out your wrists. Maybe do jazz hands. Maybe shake the hands and the wrists out. Maybe you send those fingertips forward and bow your forehead down. You can bring your palms together and bring your thumbs to the back of the neck. And let yourself breathe. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Nicely done, my friend. We're going to come back up to our tabletop position. So when you're ready, rise on up. Remember, you can pause the video if you need to and come back to it later. Let yourself rest for a couple more minutes or a couple more breaths. That's totally okay. All right. When you're back, we are going to see if we can take this into a downward facing dog. What we're going to do is walk our palms past our shoulders, remembering that we're trying to ground down through those knuckles and the meaty part of the palm as best as we can through this whole engagement. Before we rise on up, are your palms shoulder width distance apart? So do you tend to come into the center line a little bit more? Could your chest fit between your palms? If you were to be in a plank position or a half plank, could you lower down and would your chest fit between your palms? If your palms are too close together and you're coming down and it looks like this, then your hands are too close and you're not creating structural stability for yourself. So take a look down, do that little test. Could you fit your chest in between? Then notice the position of your hands in terms of where they're dialed to, their angle, I should say. Nice. All right, so do you tend to bring your fingertips in? So are you here? Are you here? Are you here? Right? We want to create as much structural stability in this pose as possible. So we don't want to have our hands in like this. It's going to create weird stuff for your shoulder and your elbow. We want to sort of be more so that they're pointing straight up, but a little bit dialed out. So your thumbs are at about a 45-degree angle. So there's a little external rotation. Now be careful how far you do that. We're not going here. We're just seeing if we can dial the fingers out just a little bit, maybe by 10 degrees. So if this was at our 0, we're bringing it out about 10 degrees. Right? Does that make sense? And you're going to see if you can find that. So your wrists are a little bit past your shoulders. Nice. Then we'll curl our toes under and send our tailbone up towards the sky. Now, if your mirror isn't such that you can take a look to the side and see yourself, I invite you to rearrange your situation so that you can see your downward dog and be able to take a closer look at what's going on there for you. So a lot of people think that what's really important is that the heels are down on the earth. So for a lot of people, they'll be here thinking this is their downward dog, or here. So look how close my feet are to my hands. And yeah, my heels are on the earth, but my tailbone is rounded down. My lower back is rounded. My shoulders are taking a lot of strain here, and my deltoid, so my upper arm. And I'm more in a forward fold than I am in a downward dog. So I'm going to see if I can back my feet up a little bit. Now this is a tricky one because then you start to back your feet up a whole bunch and all of a sudden you're more in a plank than you are in a downward dog. So we're trying to find that sweet spot where there's nice distance between our wrists and our toes. And so we're in an inverted V shape. We're not here and we're not in a plank. We're still trying to find that inverted V shape. Now what's really important in our downward dog, remember to rest when you need to, number one. But what's mostly important in our downward dog is that our tailbone is pushing up towards the sky. So there's a forward tilt of our hips. So we're trying to see if we can not be here, rounded forward, but instead extend that tailbone up towards the sky. So I invite you to bend your knees and see if you can tilt your tailbone up. Play with tilting the tailbone up, pushing it up towards the sky. So maybe your belly, like mine, comes right to your thighs. That gives you more ability to push the earth away from you and find a nice structure and strength in your shoulder, elbow, and wrist, and between your shoulder blades. So we're seeing if we can bring the shoulder blades towards each other, if we can activate through the upper and mid back. Notice I'm having to bring my heels back a little bit. And you're actively pushing the earth away. So we're not holding on for dear life, dumping all of our weight into our hands. Oh my God, this is so straining. It's so hard. See if you can straighten through those arms and pretend you're pushing something heavy away from you. Beautiful. Then we can practice pedaling through the feet and seeing if we can bring the heels to the earth. But notice that I'm not rounded through my shoulders. that my elbows are straight, that my heart is pressed back, and that my tailbone is lifted up towards the sky. See if you can allow the head to relax here. Back of the neck is nice and loose. Imagine yourself being an inverted bobblehead version of yourself here. And then take a couple of breaths. Last one. Nice. Let's bring ourselves out of this pose by coming to a forward fold. We're going to bend our knees and look forward. You're a kitty cat ready to pounce. This is a great place to practice your forward fold too. And then we'll just walk up to the top of the mat, bringing our hands up to our feet, allowing ourselves to bow forward. We're going to play with forward fold in a moment, but for now I invite you to just relax the arms. We've done a lot of being on our hands, so your elbows might feel things, your wrists might feel things, your hands might feel things, your shoulders might feel things. So just allow yourself to be here. Maybe clasp opposite elbows. Get that stretch in your hamstrings. Let go of the form for a moment here. And relax and gather your breath. One more here. All right, we're going to bring ourselves up to standing. Quick little pointer here for you to play with in your practice. We're not going to roll up. We're going to see if we can use our legs instead of our lower back to rise up. So I invite you to bend your knees and drop your bum like you're going to squat and go pee in the woods. If you're a lady, you know what I mean. Lift your chest. So we've got a nice tailbone reaching out behind us. All of a sudden the quads are engaged. We'll reach our arms wide, push into our feet, and lift all the way up to our Tadasana. Reach, 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 reach. Exhale, palms come together and float down to heart center. So that's just something to play with. Maybe we'll focus on that kind of movement in another video. When you arrive, pull up your pants, adjust your shirt, make sure you feel comfortable. If you need to pause and take a sip of water, awesome, good time to do so. Eventually, you're going to find your way back to your mat. I'm going to come into the middle of my mat so that you can see me. You be wherever you can see yourself best in your mirror. So you can see yourself from the side. When you arrive, you're going to bring your feet about hip width distance apart. Toes are pointing forward. Now, what happens anatomically in our skeletal structure is that from our hips, our femur has a slight inward angle to the knee, and then the tibia, our shin bone, bears that weight. So we want to help with that structure. First, we want to stand up nice and tall. We want our toes pointing forward so that we're not here and we're not here. You know, we're not doing the, right? You're not just standing. Then where's the weight happening? Where's the structure happening? That kind of thing. So we're trying to bring those feet parallel to each other, toes pointing forward. For some of us, we might already feel this in our hips because we might be used to standing with our toes pointing out or in, depending on what's happening in your body and the experiences that you have had. So you're going to see, if you can point those toes forward. You don't necessarily have to bring the feet together, really together. That can be quite helpful and does help you find more foundational structure and support for your skeletal system. But you can bring them about hip width distance apart. So this isn't hip width distance apart. That's too wide. We're seeing if we can bring them right underneath your hip creases, this line here. Take a look in the mirror. See if you've got it. What does that look like? There's that slight inversion of the femur bone.
Gorgeous. Then we're going to tone our quads by tensing them up a little bit and seeing if we can lift our kneecaps. So there's this real structure. Your feet are really planted on the earth. Maybe even spread your toes nice and wide. Tadasana is a really important foundational pose and will help you if you practice finding length and your alignment in the rest of your life, in your daily activities. Even though it seems like such an unimportant and small thing to be doing, it really is actually one of the most important things you can do for supporting your body, finding strength and eliminating injuries, all of that kind of stuff. So engaging those quads. Then we're going to engage our glutes, our butt cheeks, and push our hips forward a little bit. So take a look in the mirror. Notice what happens with your booty. When you stand normally, is there a nice alignment happening? Does your booty tend to go back? Do you tend to send the booty back and lean forward a little bit? Do you tend to rock back with your shoulders and your hips are way forward and you're concave in your lower back? What does it look like when you stand normal compared to when you engage your legs, engage your glutes, and push your hips forward a little bit? Just see what that is looking like in your mirror and with your body. Beautiful. Once you found that, we're finding that upward current of energy in the front body again. So chest is lifting. Whoop. We're seeing if we can lift the sternum, your breastplate. Shoulders roll back and down and away from your ears. See if you can bring your palms face forward in front or beside you, sorry. So there's length between your ears and your shoulders. There's that upward current of energy in the front body, just like when we were seated. Downward current of energy in the back body. Shoulder blades are kind of reaching towards each other to come together on your back body. Now take a look in the mirror. Notice the difference in your posture. If you've really got kyphosis, you've got really rounding in the spine, if you're here all the time, this will feel, like we said when we were seated, quite straining. You might not notice a total length in the spine, but you'll notice a bit of a better posture, a little bit more of a lift. So practice looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing if you can find that lift, that general upward current of energy. So we've got that marionette string at the top of our crown once again. Let's see if we can take a deep breath in here and a long breath out. Nice. Now, trying to maintain the shoulders back, the chest open wide, your wing bone or your scapulas coming together on your back body. So here I'll turn so that you can see me. We're trying to maintain that. We're going to see if we can come down and play with a halfway lift. So I'm going to invite you to bring your fingertips behind your head and send your elbows wide. Notice that right away that creates that upward current of energy in your front body and invites length in your spine. Now, as we come down, normally when people fold, they fold here. So take a break if you need to. They fold here, and this is what's going on in their body. So they're folding at their waist. So here where your pants sit, right? We're trying to see if we can fold from here, our hip creases, our hips, instead. So just like when we were seated and we did a forward fold there and we tried to keep the lower back nice and flat, we're trying to do the same thing here. So we're not folding at our waist, we're folding at our hips. And we'll see what happens. So fingertips behind the head, elbows nice and back, lift it up nice and tall. Find a nice soft bend in your knees. Inhale in. Exhale, come down halfway. Sending your booty back
Trying not to round through the spine. Keep it nice and long. Keep those elbows lifted, that chest open, and you're creating a figure 7 shape with your body. Beautiful. Take a look in your mirror. I'm going to turn and take a look in my mirror and see, am I at my, I needed to come down a little bit more, a little bit further than I thought. Right? So we've got this figure 7 shape. Nice length through the spine, gaze is straight down. Now let yourself rise back up, come out of the pose and let your arms relax down. What did you notice with that? Core was really engaged. Upper back was really engaged. Your shoulders started to feel something, especially because we had our hands behind our head. But there's an engagement here. So we're not just flopping. When we're here, we're not rounding through the spine. And we're not just flopping down. To get the most out of the pose and create flow of energy through the hips, which is so important. I think it's way undervalued, under talked about, not discussed enough, knowledge not known enough about how important it is for there to be blood flow, nerve flow, lymph flow through the hips. So sciatica, swollen legs, water retention, all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to help with all of those things by paying attention to this. All right, so let's see, now that we've played with that nice long spine, if we can bring our fingertips to our thighs, find our shoulders rolling back, nice length through the spine, core is engaged, soft bend in our knees. Then we'll let our fingertips slide down. Try not to round through your spine. Keep that nice length in the spine. And maybe you only come down to here and you're really feeling a lot, as opposed to here, right? We're gonna see if we can maybe bring those fingertips, slide them down past your knees. Try to keep that length. Ooh, all of a sudden we feel a stretch. Fingertips come to the shins. We create length in the back of the neck. You're going to notice that your booty, your butt cheeks feel like they can spread a little bit more here because you're not here. You're here. That's a good thing. It is a good thing. For the posture, for you finding the stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes, for engaging the core. Take a moment to look in your mirror. See if you've got a perfect 7 shape or close to it. Maybe you weren't able to come down quite as far, but flat lower back, beautiful shoulders rolled back, feeling a stretch in the back of your legs. One more breath. Beautiful. Bend your knees, drop your bum, and rise back up using your legs. Gorgeous. Now you probably have built a little bit of heat. I know that I have, just through talking it through with you and holding those postures. You're doing an awesome job. You're doing amazing. Remember, this is information that you can take forward into your daily regular yoga practice and just play with. So you don't have to perfect anything right now. We're not trying to nail anything right now. We're just seeing if we can absorb the information and maybe carry it forward with us. So the last thing that we're going to do in terms of playing with our structure or our alignment is come into a forward fold, standing forward fold. So let's take all of these pieces that we have discussed throughout the practice of finding a flat lower back, of hinging at the hips instead of the waist, of keeping a tall spine, of keeping shoulders rolled back, and length up through the crown. We're going to see if we can maintain that a little bit as we come into our forward fold. So let's start with our halfway lift. Fingertips coming back to your thighs, soft bend in those knees. There can be quite a bend if you would like to. If that feels more supportive, shoulders rolled back, chest lifted, and then we'll start to allow ourselves to come down. Try to maintain that flat lower back as long as you can. Really feeling that stretch. You'll start to reach your fingertips down towards the earth. Maybe you're here, but you're still trying to keep that flat lower back. Maybe you're able to bring your fingertips to the earth. Maybe you're able to straighten through those legs a little bit more. Feeling a stretch here. Lengthen the belly, shoulders rolled back. And then we'll see if we can allow the head to dangle down. And let the shoulders soften. But notice how it's different here. How we're not hinging at the waist. Because we're hinging at the hips, there's so much more sensation in the entire back of the leg. And you might need to be continuing to press into the earth, into blocks, whatever supports you may have. That's great. It's actually better for you to be holding on to a chair and finding this structure as you bow forward than it is for you to be rounding through the spine and be holding on here for dear life. There's so much strain on the lower back when we do this. See if we can soften and allow that lower back to flatten and the head to dangle down. Wherever you find yourself, just allow yourself to enjoy the forward fold now, trying to utilize that information as much as you can in this moment, but meeting yourself exactly where you are and holding no judgment and allowing yourself to take a couple of breaths. Remember, this was just an exploration, something for you to digest and take forward into your practice. One more breath here. Nicely done. Let's take it back to a tabletop position. So bend your knees, plant your palms, step one foot back and then the other. Find your tabletop. And then we'll bring our seat back to the earth. I still want my blankie. And I'm going to allow myself to sit. Now, you come to whatever posture works for you. See if maybe you can find your Sukhasana. If you're so done with that now, that's totally understandable. But let's take a little moment to allow the nutrients of our practice to settle into our bodies. So if you want to come down to Shavasana and lie on your back, great, do that. If you're finding a seat like I am, maybe you practice lengthening through that spine again, rolling those shoulders away from those ears, allowing a smile to tug at the corner of your lips. And allowing your breath to calm. You did amazing today, my friend. I just want you to congratulate yourself on showing up for this practice. You might have thought when you clicked on the video, this will be easy. It's just about alignment. And you might be by now going, whoa, I worked up a sweat. That was a heck of a lot harder than I thought it would be. All of those kinds of things. But you showed up, you did it anyway, so hopefully you watched till the end of the video and didn't give up on it. But all power to you if you had to, and maybe you'll come back later. But it was great to practice with you again today. I hope you're able to carry this information forward into your everyday life. And also use that information in terms of your mental, emotional, and spiritual state, bringing intentions, goals, feelings, emotions, all of that stuff into alignment as you bring your body into alignment so that you can act with more purpose. You can act more mindfully. You can create a foundation, be less reactive, be more prepared, all of those kinds of things, both physically and in your emotional, spiritual, and mental body. Thank you so much, my friend. Let's inhale, open our arms nice and wide. Big stance here. Exhale, palms come to heart center in whatever fashion works for you. Maybe prayer hands, maybe hands on chest. Nice deep breath in here. Exhale, we bow deeply to each other. We bow deeply to our practice. The light in me honors, cherishes, and is in continuous awe of the light in you.
Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more of this content. I'll see you around. Bye for now.